Welcome back to Candle, the game about candles. There's some new things around me, like a millipede and this thing, a blue fly. There's also a porcini or something. That's a very cute mushroom. Hey, how about I become more? A lot more.
What are we doing? You see, you've got a universe which you're living in, which is fundamentally a wiggle in, and you are an event in this wiggle. See, only you're trying to straighten it out. You're trying to see order in it. And your doing this is itself a wiggle. After all, you may say, one or two things in here are straight, you know? And it's their nature to go that way, to be orderly things, to be straight things, or whatever other quality you want to put on it. And we are like that. We are something in this which has it in its nature to arrange it this and that way, to want to see things straight. But actually, there really isn't anything in the whole arrangement that is the right way of doing it. And there isn't anything in life, in your life, that is supposed to happen. You're not supposed to live to be 80 or to die when you're 23. So, liberation is the realization there is no way that things are supposed to be. You are, you're what there is. It's up to you to decide. See? But there's no way it has to happen. But on the other hand, if you want to feel that there is some way you would like to arrange this, we can start pushing these things around, and put them in some kind of an order. That's okay too.
Actually, I never want to see anything straight.
You will be miserable to the degree that you are hung up on the notion that things should, must go a certain way. That is to say, to have a fixed view. If you have no fixed view, you remain elastic. And about this, there is always something that can't quite be said. When we say, I have no fixed view, it sounds as if I were just a non-entity, like a moron. But there's another sense of an empty mind than that. Not the moronic empty mind, but the lively empty mind. The empty mind that can either let it alone or project patterns onto it. And especially do both. So that instead of saying what you really ought to do is to project no pattern onto the world and realize that it's all fundamentally senseless, is to say, always do both at the same time. Project the patterns, but realize at the same time there is no fixed view that you should take. This is exactly the same thing as being able to realize that there are rights and wrongs and things that should be done and should not be done. But at the same time, there's another point of view from which you can see that everything that happens is right the way it is, and that human life never makes an aesthetic mistake, just as the patterns of the clouds and of the foam never make aesthetic mistakes.
The beast knows, the wind knows, I don't know exactly what knows. All it knows that they are thinking it's not beautiful. And have nothing to do with their color. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, I want to get down to the simplest possible nitty-gritty of what we've been talking about in a very easy way. To ask ourselves the question, quite fundamentally, what's all the trouble about? In other words, what is your state of mind when you contemplate the possibility of everything becoming nothing? All right, so the universe is a transitory system, like a bubble, like smoke, like foam on the water. And so, how easy? Just go along with it, dissolve. So, what's the problem? Why don't we want to give up? What do we think we're going to get by holding on and by resisting the dissolution? What I'm interested in for you to feel is, what do you really feel like inside at the prospect of there being nothing, of this whole thing being a bubble that dissolves? You see, about death, the reality of approaching death, people are apt to feel chilly, cold, lonely, scared because it's an unknown. The most frightening thing about death is there might be something beyond it, and you don't know what it is. The world is full of threats, mostly from other people. And there are monsters. There are all sorts of things which scare you, but beyond every monster is death. Dissolution is the end of it all. And so long as we can be scared of that, and so long as we can be made to think of death as a bad thing, we can be ruled. Because what end can it all come to? What's all the trouble about? The most it can come to is nothing. I mean, there may be some troubles on the way of resisting this, basically resisting it. And so in this resistance there's an experience called pain. But beyond pain is annihilation. What will it be like to go to sleep and never wake up? Nobody can think about it. But what is that state when you're teased out of thought? This is not, as you would fantasize it, a state of being in the dark forever. It is not like being buried alive, because then there's an experience of darkness. Now so, when you really think about nothingness, it becomes like how your head looks to your eyes. And behind the eyes you don't see darkness, do you? You're not aware of a contrast of light here, black there. Behind the visual field, there is simply nothing conceivable at all, neither darkness nor light. So, might one venture to say almost that that area of blankness we call death is what lies behind the eyes. In other words, it is what we can't think about. That's what's watching.
Till next time.